Suburbia, a place people often flock to for safety, security, and stability. A quiet life away from the dangers of the outside world. But sometimes the greatest and most elusive threat resides right beyond our own front door. Today we explore the fragility of security and a New Jersey neighborhood gripped by the fear of the unknown. I'm DreyOfTheDead, and it's time to feed your head. In 2014, the Broaddus family purchased a beautiful 1905 Dutch colonial house in Westfield, New Jersey. During renovations, before they even had a chance to move in, they received a strange letter in the mail. It read,
"Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. I see already that you have flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it was supposed to be. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Bad move. You don't want to make 657 Boulevard unhappy. You have children. I have seen them. So far, I think there are 3 that I've counted. I asked the Woods to bring me young blood, and it looks like they listened. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I am in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I am in one. Look out any of the many windows in 657 Boulevard at all of the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. Welcome, my friends, welcome. Let the party begin.
Needless to say, Derek Broaddus immediately contacted authorities who reached out to previous owners, the Woods. It seems they too had received a letter from the Watcher just a few weeks before moving out, but thought nothing of it and threw it away. The police asked the Broadduses not to mention the letter to anyone else in the neighborhood, concerned it would compromise the investigation. Over the next 2 weeks, the family continued renovations on the house, but on high alert. Derek canceled work trips, and Maria only allowed the kids to play in the backyard whenever they stopped by, calling their names when they wandered too far. Around the same time, Derek gave a tour of the house to a couple on the block, and froze when he heard the wife say, "It'll be nice to have some young blood around the neighborhood." One day, while stopping by to check the mail and view paint swatches, Maria discovered a new letter. Recognizing the chunky handwriting on the envelope, she immediately contacted police.
Welcome again to your new home at 657 Boulevard. The workers have been busy, and I have been watching you unload carfuls of your personal belongings. The dumpster is a nice touch. Have they found what's in the walls yet? In time they will. I am pleased to know your names now, and the names of the young blood you have brought to me. You certainly say their names often.
The letter made mention of a child who had set up an easel on the porch to paint. It read, "Is she the artist in the family?"
657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all of the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement? Or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Will they sleep in the attic? Or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom, then I can plan better. All of the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move through the house. Who am I? I am the Watcher, and have been in control of 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades now. The Woods family turned it over to you. It was their time to move on and kindly sold it when I asked them to. I pass by many times a day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession. And now, you are too, Broaddus family. Welcome to the product of your greed. Greed is what brought the past 3 families to 657 Boulevard, and now it has brought you to me. Have a happy moving in day. You know I will be watching.
In light of this new letter, Derek and Maria stopped bringing their kids to the house. Instead, they decided to attend a neighborhood barbecue to scope out potential suspects. There, Derek chatted with neighbor John Schmidt, who lived just 2 doors down. John at one point casually mentioned the tenants of the house between them. Peggy Langford, in her 90s, who lived with a few of her adult children, all in their 60s. According to Schmidt, they were an odd bunch, including her youngest son, Michael. The bearded, unemployed son he described as a Boo Radley kind of character. A light bulb went off in Derek's head. Their daughter's easel was not viewable from the street, but it was from the Langford's house. The family had lived there since the 1960s, and their patriarch, Richard Langford, had passed just 12 years earlier, or the better part of 2 decades. The Broadduses immediately contacted Detective Lugo, who was already aware of the Langfords, and brought Michael in for questioning. While Lugo confirmed that Michael's narrative matched the content of the letters, Michael denied any knowledge of them, and there simply wasn't enough hard evidence to validate an arrest. With no help from authorities, Derek began his own investigation, staying up late with binoculars, setting up webcams, and creating a map and timeline of when each neighbor moved in. The couple reached out to several experts, including private investigators and the real-life FBI agent who inspired Silence of the Lambs' Clarice, a high school friend of Derek's. Even after a number of threat assessments, background checks, and writing analyses, the Broadduses came away empty-handed. Michael was once again brought in for a second interview when the Broaddus family's lawyer met with the Langford family. The Langfords were shown copies of the letters and photos of vantage points, which only resulted in heightened tensions and accusations of police harassment. One investigator concluded that DNA results obtained from the saliva on the envelope pointed to a woman, when the couple suspected Michael's sister Abby, a realtor who didn't make the sale. A secret operation was set up to collect a used water bottle from her. Unfortunately, the DNA did not match that found on the envelope, and investigators no longer considered the Langfords persons of interest. The couple went on to consider other suspects, including 2 child sex offenders just a few blocks away, and the neighbors who lived directly behind the property, after the family's painter noticed an older man sitting in a lawn chair pulled curiously close to the house, facing the Broaddus property. As renovations came to a close, another letter arrived.
Where have you gone to? 657 Boulevard is missing you. 657 Boulevard is turning on me. It is coming after me. I don't understand why. What spell did you cast on it? It used to be my friend, and now it is my enemy. I am in charge of 657 Boulevard. It is not in charge of me. I will fend off its bad things and wait for it to become good again. It will not punish me. I will rise again. I will be patient and wait for this to pass and for you to bring the young blood back to me. 657 Boulevard needs young blood. It needs you. Come back. Let the young blood play again like I once did. Let the young blood sleep in 657 Boulevard. Stop changing it and let it alone. The house is crying from all the pain it is going through. You have changed it and made it so fancy. You are stealing its history. It cries for the past and what used to be in the time when I roamed its halls. The 1960s were a good time for 657 Boulevard, when I ran from room to room, imagining the life with the rich occupants there. The house was full of life and young blood. Then it got old, and so did my father. But he kept watching until the day he died. And now I watch and wait for the day when the young blood will be mine again.
By this time, the Broadduses had already sold their previous home and decided to move in with Maria's parents while still paying the mortgage on 657 Boulevard. The constant paranoia left them depressed and fighting all of the time. Friends of the couple began to question what had gone wrong with the sale of the house and made assumptions about impending divorce. 6 months after the initial letter, the couple decided to sell the house, but rumors had begun to circulate, resulting in offers well under asking price. In 2015, they quietly filed a legal complaint against the Woods, accusing them of non-disclosure and citing emotional distress. Though the charges were thrown out, a local reporter caught wind of the complaint, and the story went viral. News vans were lining the streets, and Reddit was ablaze with detailed theories. A panic swept through Westfield. The mayor attempted to calm the public, citing an exhaustive investigation, which came as a surprise to neighbors of 657, as most had never spoken with police. A year after the Watcher's initial correspondence, the Westfield police had learned of another family on the boulevard who had received a similar letter around the same time as the Broaddus' first letter, but had thrown it away. In another incident during a stakeout, police spotted a car stopped in front of the house and traced it back to a girl in the area whose boyfriend had lived on the boulevard. According to her, he was into some really dark video games, including one where he played a character called The Watcher. The boyfriend, who was now living elsewhere, agreed to come in for an interview twice, but didn't show up either time. Some speculated that the Broaddus family sent the letters to themselves due to buyer's remorse, insurance fraud, or maybe even a movie deal, offers which they did turn down. In 2016, the family once again attempted to put the house on the market, but serious buyers who read the letters were never heard from again. The Broadduses then attempted to sell the house to developers who could tear it down to make 2 properties, but over 100 residents fought the motion at the planning board meeting, with one woman even retaining a lawyer to preserve the house. Another suspect? Ultimately, the proposal was rejected. Eventually, a family with grown children and 2 big dogs agreed to rent the house. But unfortunately, this did not cover the Broaddus' mortgage. 2 weeks later, and 2.5 years after the initial correspondence, the renters handed them an envelope.
Violent winds and bitter cold to the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife, Maria. You wonder who the Watcher is? Turn around, idiots. Maybe you even spoke to me, one of the so-called neighbors who has no idea who the Watcher could be. Or maybe you do know and are too scared to tell anyone. Good move. I walked by the news trucks when they took over my neighborhood and mocked me. I watched as you watched from the dark house in an attempt to find me. Telescopes and binoculars are wonderful inventions. 657 Boulevard survived your attempted assault and stood strong with its army of supporters barricading its gates. My soldiers of the boulevard followed my orders to a T. They carried out their mission and saved the soul of 657 Boulevard with my orders. All hail the Watcher.
And in perhaps the most disturbing correspondence yet,
maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something as simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away but makes you feel sick day after day after day after day after day. Maybe the mysterious death of a pet. Loved ones suddenly die. Planes and cars and bicycles crash. Bones break.
In 2019, the couple finally sold the house at a $400,000 loss. Though the Broadduses no longer feared that the Watcher might strike at any moment, the damage remained. Their kids were relentlessly teased at school, and they often ran into former neighbors who accused them of being con artists. In the same strange way that the Watcher had become obsessed with the house, Derek had become obsessed with the Watcher. It's like cancer, he described. We think about it every day. In one interview, Derek revealed the contents of a final letter, which read, "You are despised by the house, and the Watcher won." If you enjoyed this strange but true tale, join me in 2 weeks for another Feed Your Head Friday. And if that's too long for you to wait, you can find me on TikTok at DreyOfTheDead, where I post Feed Your Head mini episodes in the meantime. I love creating this type of content for you. If you'd like to help me continue, be sure to subscribe. I also create shirts based on each episode, including this one, which you can find on my Redbubble shop. And if you like bonus content, consider becoming a Patreon supporter, where you can enjoy behind-the-scenes footage and take part in my creative process. As always, thank you for watching, be well, and stay strange.